Welcome to More Than Dentistry, where your hosts Evert and Waldo discuss life, dentistry, and everything in between with dentists around the world.
Hello and welcome to the More Than Dentistry podcast. Hello everyone, welcome back to More Than Dentistry. This is episode 3. Today I'm going to interview Dr. Waldo Engelbrecht. Waldo, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Where were you born and where do you come from?
I was born in Johannesburg, in Randburg, and then when I was in standard 6, which is now grade 8, we moved down to Swellendam. So I had my high school years in the Western Cape, and I went fresh from high school to Stellenbosch.
Okay, what year did you matriculate?
2000.
Okay. So we're the same age, actually.
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
It was strange. Any case, then I went into dentistry. I actually didn't have much of a clue what dentistry was. I was so ignorant the first day that we were with the other students in the class. I saw there were girls in my class, and I didn't know that women actually became a dentist.
Really?
So, yeah, so very ignorant about what was going on in dentistry. But
Sure.
yeah, I was in it. So, yeah.
Okay, and so where did you matriculate? What school did you go to?
As High School of Swellendam.
Swellendam. Okay, okay, and tell us about your journey through dental school and community service.
Yeah, well, I was in res at Tygerberg. I actually met my wife in res.
Really?
Yeah, in our second year.
What time? What time of the evening was that? Don't elaborate on that.
Yeah, let's not elaborate about that. And then I did my community service at the military base in Uppington.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was quite cool. So I could play with all the toys and not just extract teeth all day.
Okay.
And then I don't know if I was like super anxious of getting work in private practice after, or what was my motivation, but I was keen on looking for work quite early on in my ComServe.
Okay.
And I eventually got to, I was looking at the classifieds the whole time. I was at that stage, I almost thought of going overseas, but no one wanted a guy fresh out of university to work overseas at that stage.
Where did you think about going?
I looked at New Zealand and Dubai, and nothing was really feasible at that stage. And I mean, you have to have some money to actually go overseas.
Yeah.
I was still paying off a lot of student loans, so that wasn't really on the cards. But I got an interview with a chap in Port Elizabeth.
Okay.
And yeah, we hit it off, and I started my private practice in Port Elizabeth. And yeah.
And who was he?
Cliff Kushner.
Okay.
Yeah, so I worked for about 18 months for him.
But you probably learned a lot from him because he's a good dentist.
Yes, yeah, no, I learned a hell of a lot. I think he was a true mentor. I mean, I was just placing amalgams and stuff like that. But
Shouldn't say that out loud.
But he drilled in the basics very, very well.
Yeah.
And it gave me a respect for, if you do something, know how to treat the complications of what you're doing. Which there's not a lot of guys that think that broadly.
Yeah, I think he's a very good dentist. One of our assistants actually used to work for him. Didn't you know Anel Slater? She used to work for him, yeah. So she's Jan's assistant now. And she's amazing.
Yes.
And she learned from him. So you can just see that he drilled it into everyone there.
Yeah.
They were like a well-oiled machine there.
Yeah.
I think that's cool for young dentists to start off like that.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think I got too big for my own shoes at the point where I felt like I need to do my own thing because I wasn't really growing the practice. I was a little bit impatient.
Okay.
Wanted to see everybody had to come to me too, and I wanted to do more work and so on. And I thought maybe it would be better if I do something on my own. So I tried to see what's the best options, and at that stage, I made a decision to go to Kareedouw here in the Langkloof. don't know how I managed to do that.
Yeah,
but
that was an interesting decision.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting.
But you were married then already?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, after my oath taking, the day after we got married.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Sure.
yeah, we were married quite young.
Okay. And then why Kareedouw? Kareedouw is like a one-horse town in the middle of the Eastern Cape. There's not a lot going on for people that don't know.
It was almost like the gateway to the Langkloof and the Tsitsikamma. So the thought was that the catchment area for patients is quite large.
Yeah.
And that everything ran more or less through Kareedouw.
Yeah.
But the thing is that people with a little bit of expendable cash don't usually just go to Kareedouw to spend their cash. I'd rather come to Jeffries and come see Dr. Evert Burger.
Yeah, obviously.
And
I don't blame them.
and the guys in Imansdorp and so on. And I mean, that was, I learned a lot.
I can imagine.
From private practice. I think you can hear from my story that things didn't go according to plan. Yeah, so I had a hard time there. I wasn't there for a long time. It was a miserable financial situation for me. Really? And it was also at the peak of 2008, which was not great.
So your timing was not
Yeah, no, timing.
So how long did you stay there before you moved on?
I think it was, again, about 18 months. I was almost like a nomadic dentist for quite a while.
Oh, really?
Jumping from one practice to the other. When I was still in Kareedouw, I was actually, at some stage, I was doing extraction clinics in Tsitsikamma, in Coldwater, and then at some stage I rented a practice in Plet, which really? I saw like probably in that 3 or 4 months that I was there, I was probably only saw like 5 or 6 patients.
Sure. Okay. So fast forward to where you are now, what was the next move for you? Where did you go after Kareedouw? Did you sell the practice or did you close?
No, I closed off the practice. Sat with a boatload of debt. And I got an opportunity with Dentistry Health at that stage in the Walmer branch.
Okay. That's in Port Elizabeth.
That's in Port Elizabeth. And I was very grateful. I started again just from the bottom, tried to build up myself again. Once you have a business that fails miserably like that, it's difficult to get the confidence back, to stand on your own 2 feet. And my drinking habits weren't also really complementing my my daily life at that stage.
Okay.
So,
and that year was 2010, 2009?
Yes, 2010. Okay. Yeah, more or less.
I remember a study group meeting at, where was it? Mazeppa?
It must have been Mazeppa.
Yeah, I think that was the last time you actually ever drank.
No, I think we carried on for another couple of years.
Okay, cool. And that was actually that study group where Howard was there.
Yes.
When he was a human pool cue. So we basically played pool with Howard Gluckman, and he was a pool cue. He was too short for pool cue, though, I think.
I was feeling more in control.
Okay.
And as a result of that, I could make big decisions.
Yeah, anyway, so okay, so then Walmer.
Yes, yeah. Well, I worked in Walmer then for about 3-4 years. It felt like I was working for a commission and things were going all right. I had like a very old assistant. She was very good. But
I actually remember you telling me about it.
But things were just getting a little bit tight and things were not playing out quite well with the assistant at that stage. And I couldn't get rid of the assistant. And not that people should be expendable, but at that stage I had to, I felt like I needed someone new.
Okay.
But it felt like I was hitting a plateau or a ceiling with the way my income was going as a commission earner at that stage.
Okay.
And I never got into dentistry in a thing of working for someone.
Yeah.
I only realized that 2-3 years into my practice there. And I was starting to read quite a few books like Freakonomics and stuff like that.
But just to chip in, that's when, from an outsider point of view, things changed for you a lot. You at some stage stopped drinking, and
yes.
did you go on your own at that time?
Yeah. So, it was just in that last year that I was there, I stopped drinking. I made a few lifestyle changes. I started running a hell of a lot. I stopped smoking. And I was just running my butt off, literally. I got to the car, I thought my coccyx was fractured, and she said I didn't have any more butt fat.
Really?
So, I lost probably about 12 kilograms.
But what initiated that change? What was the final straw?
It was a couple of things. I did a night trail race.
Yeah.
And I lost my orientation, and I fell like with a baseball slide and dislocated my shoulder.
Okay.
And as I dislocated my shoulder, I had about 3 kilometers to run. So I popped my shoulder back, and I ran up towards the end. And as I got there, I popped it out again. And I popped it in again. And I drove home because no one was there. I already had one child.
Yeah.
And my wife was with my son. And as I got home, I thought, maybe I should just see what's my range of motion.
Okay.
My shoulder popped out again. So in a lot of pain, I drove myself to the emergency ward, and they said, it looks like you've maybe torn a few rotator cuffs and so on. In any case, a long story short is I fractured the outer rim of my scapula. So I had surgery, and I was 3 months out of practice.
Okay.
So PPS was paying, and I had a lot of time for some reflection.
Okay, cool.
And I think that was probably the catalyst that got me into changing. No, that things can't go on the way they're going.
Okay.
And so I was looking to change things, and that's when I got to my partner then, Roelof Meurs.
Yeah.
I also just started working for him, but with the arrangement that we would be associates at some stage.
Okay.
And we turned that around quite quickly.
Okay.
And
you obviously had your confidence back after the...
I think so, yes. Yeah. And I was practicing there, and the practice was going really well. I was feeling more in control.
Okay.
And as a result of that, I could make big decisions quite quickly.
Yeah.
In saying that, my wife had a good, steady job.
It's nice.
And so if the pawpaw hit the fan, then at least we had something to fall back on.
Because you made some big purchases in equipment and stuff.
Yes, and I
what did you buy?
Well,
what did you not buy?
I think maybe before I got to that was I felt that I was spending a lot of time in the practice. And sitting with crap equipment at that stage, then I'd just be worse off than I was at any of the other practices. Yeah. So at that stage, I started curing with a halogen light again.
Really?
And I was thinking the first thing I'm going to purchase is a decent LED curing light.
Okay.
And that changed everything. The amount of time that I saved just by changing a curing light was life-changing.
That's amazing.
And that's a small purchase that you can actually make to make a big difference. And then I just started reinvesting. As I got money, I reinvested it into the practice. So I bought myself a chair, and then we bought a pan. And,
so you guys never had a digital pan before that?
No, we had an old Panora pan.
Okay.
And then we got a digital pan. And we had a digital pan for that thing was running. That thing prints money. And then I got myself CEREC. I had a lot of chats with you about the CEREC.
Yeah, I remember.
And at that stage, I wasn't actually doing much crowns.
Okay.
But it was just for me that the effort that was putting to do a crown and getting the work back from the lab at that stage, I wasn't always very happy with. And I felt that if I buy something that's actually going to start becoming an income, and not just the expense, that would be worthwhile. And it was definitely also a practice changer for me.
Yeah. And then you also bought the Sirona 3D.
Yes, so then I bought the 3D, which was also awesome. Yeah.
So I think a lot of guys look into, just to tag on to that, a lot of guys look into, you need to have all the toys to be a good dentist.
No.
Yeah, and that's the thing I also want to say. You can have nothing and be a good
Yes,
dentist. You
absolutely.
can just have skill.
Yeah, I always go back to a story where my best friends work in Joburg, and the practice that he will leave it all anonymous at this stage. And the practice that he works in is like triple, quadruple medical aid rates. And they had an old analog pen.
Yeah.
They have the oldest chairs.
Yeah.
They have no technology in it, but the guys do good dentistry and they sell well.
Yeah.
And they make a lot of money, and they still put in amalgams.
Really. I think the thing about equipment for me is I spend 10 hours a day there.
Exactly.
It needs to be fun.
Yes.
I'm not going to be there and spend 10 hours if it's not fun. I'd rather not have a fancy car and have a fancy practice and have all the toys. So I'll easily spend money on it, but you can sometimes lose money on stuff.
Yes. I think you just, it's easy to say, make clever purchases timing wise, but it just feels, when I bought the cone beam, I felt like I was making the amount of money that I made from pans, I reinvested in buying the CBCT.
Okay.
So I felt like the money that I was getting in, I was just reinvesting into the practice.
Exactly. Yeah. But you don't have to have the fancy stuff to make money or be a good dentist.
No.
But it's fun.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
I think from an outsider point of view, I could see you change a lot in that time.
Okay.
Probably 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
So you went from a guy that was a normal dentist doing normal work to someone that's pushing the envelope and doing things that we want to do and we want to follow.
The whole dentistry health structures changed to being satellite practices and have their own practice numbers.
Okay.
So
they're kind of decentralized.
Yes.
Obviously, whatever you did in that time, changing your drinking habits, started running and starting to like self-educate or self-invest, and all of that made a massive difference from an outsider point of view. So we can talk about that at some stage a little bit more.
I think that's like the other thing is that family life changed as well.
Okay.
And I think that shifts your priorities, is that the changes that you need to make and you want to keep your family together is really, really important. The one thing Cliff always told me is that the best decision that you can make for your practice is only have one wife.
That's a good point.
And it always stuck to me. I mean, I love my wife dearly, but we all had rough patches, and it's much better trying to work on your relationship than try again.
It's not going to get better.
No.
Listen, so just then you went back to Walmer. Just tell us that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So sorry. So then late last year, I got a proposal from a colleague of mine, Dr. Albertijn Potgieter, that one of the senior dentists was retiring, and they were desperately looking for someone to buy into the practice. And at that stage, I thought the amount of money that anyone wants for their practice is too much.
Okay.
And this good advice I got actually from my mother-in-law was, don't make the decision yourself. Go and speak to your bookkeeper.
Okay.
And I asked for the financials and the stuff from the practice, and I went to my bookkeeper, and he said, well, this is a business transaction. You can't pay the money for the practice. It's going to be worth your while.
Okay.
And that was also like a light bulb moment, is that the decisions you make, don't just have to rely on your own decision making.
There's obviously a lot of experts out there.
That can help you. That can help you.
And don't you feel like now you're back and tied into a corporate structure that you don't want to be in?
No, I don't think so, because the whole practice scene has changed. Because what we left out was that the practice that I actually bought into now was the practice that was the original Walmer practice. But the whole dentistry health structures changed to being satellite practices and have their own practice numbers.
Okay.
So
they're kind of decentralized, the whole thing. So you work for yourself just under their brand.
Yes. So Albertijn and myself are the senior partners at Dentistry at Walmer.
And how many other dentists have you got?
We've got another 3 dentists and an oral hygienist.
Okay. Yeah, you guys also have a very nice practice. You always spend a lot of money on the property and the
yes, they've done really well.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. I think Albertine's wife did a lot of the interior and stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, it's nice to have patients coming in and complimenting, looking into the garden and loving the way things look.
I think that ties into if you're going to be there the whole day, make it fun and nice for yourself.
Yeah,
have a nice surrounding, a creative environment. Because you're going to be there the whole freaking day and make it really worth your while. I've checked practices where they had the same picture on the wall for like 35 years.
I can remember my dentist that we went to as kids, the photos that he had on his wall of his family. And one of my friends worked at this dentist that was my childhood dentist, just a couple of years after. And I popped in and I greeted him and I looked and it was exactly the same pictures. And those pictures were like 35 years old.
Yeah, so I think what the mistake the guys make is they buy the nicest car and the biggest family house and holiday house. But the place where they spend most of their time, they don't make fun for themselves. And that's why they freaking end up hating their jobs because they're depressed, sitting in a room without windows, looking at the same picture of their kids was 7 and it's now 37. So I think that's the one thing if you're going to spend money, spend it in your practice.
Yes.
And then you're going to start loving the work you do. Yeah, do you want to tell us about your family quickly? We haven't really...
Yes, well, I'm married now for 14 years.
Okay.
And I think it's 14. And I've got 3 kids. My eldest will be 10 in August, and then I have a middle one that's 7, and the youngest one that's 4, a little girl. So I've got 2 boys and a girl.
Okay, cool. And then in just to get, we're going to wrap it up soon, but just to get into your clinical work, what kind of work do you do a lot, and what do you enjoy?
Do mostly surgical work. So I do a lot of implants, wisdom teeth, some aesthetic, or more like a plastic soft tissue stuff.
Okay.
And then I do a lot of CEREC work, so CAD dentistry. And that's I've also done quite a bit of orthodontics, but I was also trying to just scale a bit back on the orthodontics because my partner Albertine's quite into the orthodontics, and I feel when I do the ortho, I'm hypercritical about how things look in my hand, and I want to get it just right, and it just feels like I just can't do in that last gear.
Okay.
And that's why I feel maybe it's time just to pop it over.
We should get him actually interviewed as well.
Yes.
He's very knowledgeable on DMD and ortho and stuff.
The sleep stuff.
I'll put you to sleep with it. Okay. I think the next episode, we're going to get Mark Bowes. I think he's a nice guy to start off with. Cool. I've spoken to him already, and I think most guys would want to hear from him.
Yes.
So we're gonna get a hold of him, and in the next episode we'll interview Mark and find out more about him.
Okay.
So thanks, Waldo. It's good to get to know you, and thanks for listening.